Okay. Good evening, one and all, to the Mind School. Today we bring to you our first youth talk, which is on mental health. We are joined by bubbly students and courageous students from Hyderabad, and who would like to share their opinion on mental health. As Franklin D. Roosevelt says, we cannot always build the future for the youth, but we can always build the youth for the future. With this quote, I would like to start today's session. First, I would like to introduce the panelists to you today. We have with us Partha, who is an engineering student from VNR BJIET Hyderabad. He is a good singer and a vocalist in the band Infinity. We have Charita, who is currently pursuing her mass communication final year degree from St. Mary's College. She is a karaoke jockey and also popularly known as KJ Cherry, which is her name in this during this talk. And she is an anchor, and also she is the admin of a popular Facebook group called Spread the Word Hyderabad. You must check out that page. Yes. Next we have Rachana. She is also a mass communication student from St. Mary's College, Hyderabad. She is interested in writing. She is passionate about mental health, and she has written several blogs on parenting. And she also talks about how certain behavior of parents can affect the mental health of a child. We have with us Laasya, who is a student of law. She is studying law from Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad. She aspires to practice cyber law, which is a very interesting subject. She is best known for her discourse on conflict resolution at the TEDx Silver Oaks in 2010. Her other passions and professional endeavors include debating, delegating, mooting, and legal writing. Last but not the least, we have with us Sindhuja, who is in her final year BBA from St. Mary's College, Hyderabad, and she is also a theatre artist with Navrasa Theatre Group. Thank you and welcome to all of you who are joining us today. So first of all, to begin this panel discussion, I would like to ask each of you, what is the definition of success and happiness? Parth, we would like to start with you first.
Could you give me 2 minutes? I'm at a wedding. I would like to go to another place.
Sure. Till then, Sindhuja, you can answer. Then Parth will join. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not sure about it, but when it comes to me, success is something which is interrelated with happiness, actually. So for me, when you're having dreams or goals or something like that, and when you vision yourself or picturize yourself that in that position, and one day that comes true for you, and you are actually in reality you're in that position, that is something called a success for me. I would define it as that.
Very nice. Cherry, would you like to go next?
Yes, sure. According to me, success is that you're in a place where nobody can question you about anything, meaning cannot pass comments or anything at all. It does not bother you, and you are happy. As Sindhuja has said, it is interrelated to happiness. You are in a place where you're content, satisfied, and you don't want anything more. You just want to be in that place. I think that is success.
Very nice answer. Parth, would you like to come in now?
Yeah, sorry for that. And according to me, success is something which is like a little bit connected to happiness and more related to our hard work and our zeal towards our goal. That's what I'd say about success. But happiness is a different thing. I think happiness can be found in very small things, and success, like getting success, is not that big of a happy.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah.
Very nice. Laasya.
Well, I do think I have a few strong opinions when it comes to like the definition of success and happiness. Well, at least according to my opinion and how it applies to me. I'd say that ever since our childhood, we're taught the reverse. To be honest, we're taught that success is this position that we're supposed to attain, and we're taught that happiness is, you know, that momentary satisfaction in that second where you feel happy. But in reality, according to me, happiness and being happy are two different things. And attaining success is momentary. As we all know, life has its ups and downs. So, for you to be able to take a direction, a step in that direction towards attaining your dreams, is success to me, because at the end of the day I do not believe that success is this stature or this position that you stay at, because that's not realistic. At some point everybody falls. So whereas happiness on the other hand is when you attain this sense of satiation where nothing can tether you anymore. Nothing can really stop you from feeling like you're progressing in the most mentally healthy way possible. So I feel like happiness is where you're comfortable the most. It's where you know that you've achieved life to the fullest. Whereas success is any step that you take in the direction of achieving your dreams. I think
Thank you, Laasya.
that's what I think.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Rachana, we come to you.
Well, I'd say thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. And when you ask me about success, I have a very different opinion. I don't know, many of you might find it funny, but I think success to me personally is being able to sleep at night peacefully and knowing when you wake up tomorrow, you got that. You got the will to survive. And then that is when you are successful in leading your life. Because no matter what, you have you, and you can sleep peacefully at night and wake up with that confidence in the morning.
Very nice. That's amazing to listen to all of you. It's amazing. These are new definitions of success and happiness, definitely. So coming to the panel discussion, first of all, I would like to begin with Sindhuja. Sindhuja, what do you do to keep a check on your emotions?
Well, I think these something which is affected me from since so long, as you know me, ma'am. So I have a little bit problem with my emotions. I'm an overthinker. So when it comes to that, I am pretty much sure most of the teenage is actually spent in thinking what actually happens next, why did I do that, and like for me and my friends can relate to this. So when it comes to me, I used to think a lot in the sense, and why did I do that? Why didn't I do this and that? So instead of finding myself having that guilt, or you know I'll be in a regret, I used to tell to myself, after watching few Netflix shows, I decided like it's okay. I mean, this is so stupid to get inspired from, but I felt it's okay. And it took me ages to decide and tell to myself and console myself, saying it's okay. If you did something wrong, it's okay, it's completely fine. And all my teachers, including you, ma'am, told me that only it's fine, it's completely fine. If you don't do mistakes, when will you learn? And something which always makes me feel okay, we'll come over it, it's okay. And when it comes to emotions, that is something which I always make sure to check on it.
Very nice.
And yeah, those are the two words which I always tell to myself: calm yourself down, you're doing great, it's okay.
Wow.
And I give this to many of my friends as well. Yeah.
That's very nice. Coming to you, Parth, I would like you to focus on a very serious issue. That do you think that the society lacks empathy?
Okay, before answering the question, I would like to discuss. I mean, like, I would like to answer why, uh, what empathy really is. Empathy involves an ability to perceive others' feelings and to recognize our own feelings about why the other person is feeling in that way, in that certain way, and to have concern for their welfare. Okay, and this may not be happening with only with people that we really are close to. uh, Coming to the question now, uh, I do think the society is really becoming less empathetic. Yes,
Hmm.
but okay, as I have said, the definition of empathy according to me, uh, empathy really involves thinking about other people and thinking about our own emotion, connecting to that, connecting to the situation they are in. And I think this happens because uh, we don't lack the ability to empathize with the other person. We just don't want to know what we feel about the other person, because the society nowadays has become like, people nowadays think that not caring is uh, cool enough for them to ignore problems,
Hmm.
ignore societal problems and social problems.
Hmm. Thank
Uh, and be ignoring things like empathizing with another person is not really cool, and it results in everyone being feeling alone and emotionally
you.
alone. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your answer. Lasya, coming to you, I would like to know about how you have dealt with peer pressure, because that is something found very common amongst the youth today. So, how did you fight peer pressure?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you, Miss Devika, for having given me this opportunity. I feel like it's a privilege for someone who happens to be a young adult or a teenager to be able to express their opinions on any topic that is controversial when it comes to mental health, especially because we're told from a very young age that your kids, you're not able to comprehend what's happening around you for you to develop an identity or to develop an issue regarding what's happening in your life, because these are problems, these are very minute, you shouldn't really stress over them. This is something that we've been told all our life growing up. So it's really a privilege to have this platform to be able to express.
Thank you.
I'd also like to thank every single one of you, every single participant who's hearing us out. It's really important that we take steps towards destigmatizing, seeking help for mental health, or even just destigmatizing the very notion around mental health. That is, well, for a few years, until a few years ago, people believe that mental health is non-existent. So to come from a stage of that to evolve into something that we are today, to be able to talk right now itself, is something that I'm really grateful for. I'm looking forward to talk to you guys, a little bit of discussion about this. I like to start by asking every single one of you to personally, by yourselves, recollect at least one situation in which you felt like you were socially uncomfortable. Now, once you've tried to recollect this situation in which you felt like you were socially uncomfortable, what exactly are you attributing this discomfort to? Is it yourself? Is it this person that you felt like pressured, you were pressured by into being in this socially uncomfortable situation? Or is it some external factor that does not involve people at all? Because it is very evident every single one of us has been some or the other, some or other socially uncomfortable situation, and these are the situations that really shape us, really shape young minds. This is how we process information, and this is how we learn social cues through socially uncomfortable situations. Now, going past that, I'd like to talk about how we think that we're immune to peer pressure. This is a concept that we feel like we're very much immune to, and I personally disagree with this. Since this is a discourse that involves, every single one of us to voice our opinions, I would also like to say that peer pressure is not as superficial as, a psychological term might make it seem. Psychology just defines peer pressure as a behavioral aspect, a behavioral psychological aspect where you're just, pressured by another person into, or being coerced by another person into doing something that you don't usually do, unless and until, you feel like you need to be validated, or you feel like you're trying to test your worth out in a situation that they put you in. But in reality, I don't think it's that superficial, because the reason why we even think that we're immune in the first place is because when we're put into these obviously immoral situations, we definitely take our way out of it, because we're hardwired into thinking that if we're in a dangerous situation, we're supposed to get out. So you're immune to only obvious peer pressure. The way in which, for an instance, they make it seem like at a very young age, if a group of friends with bad influence go out and drink and they ask another person to join them, this person who wants to climb up the social ladder will join them. Is the very standard example that we get for peer pressure, right? Or taking drugs, or doing something that you're completely uncomfortable with, which is considered unethical or immoral. But in reality, we really choose. We really get to choose. If we want to partake in situations like that or not. Personally, I think that every single one of us has avoided situations like that. But that's not what we're here to discuss about, right? We're here to discuss how complex this concept of peer pressure is and how it's impacting every single teenager out there.
Yeah.
Because
1 second, last. I do have a question when you said this. Do you think so? Now that you have given your thought about it, don't you think peer pressure is because a person's need to fit into a certain group?
It is.
It's
a
need of belonging.
It is. It very much is. It very much is.
Yeah.
It actually is. That is where I'll share my, personal experience and how I've struggled with trying to fit in as well. Thank you for asking. So my entire idea is that we have two types of peer pressures. I'll try to wrap this up. There's active peer pressure and then there's passive peer pressure. Most of us who consider ourselves to be mentally healthy and that we do not have many mental issues that we have to actively deal with, we just assume that we don't fall under any of these traps that peer pressure has to offer, when in reality that's not true, because some or the other way we do fall into passive peer pressure. That's why we'll come into the concept of passive peer pressure. Now, passive peer pressure is where a person doesn't explicitly coerce you, but you just take social cues, you look around, and you decide that you have to, seek some sort of a validation. So you tell yourself that you have to do this because you want to be validated, that you need to achieve some sense of worth around, your social circle. Now, coming to my personal experiences, at the age of 6 itself, I had a cousin with whom I was constantly put into a competition with to excel academically. Now, this cousin's parents would ask him to excel, when compared to me, and my parents would force me to, score and fare well, better than him. So now, would many of you agree that this is peer pressure? I do not think so, because many of you might say that this is just a parenting technique, or many of you might just say it's just simple competition, unhealthy. It might be unhealthy, but at the end of the day, it's academic competition. There's peer pressure in this. But competitiveness is what, leads to this concept of comparison. This is where I'll try to share, one of my experiences. At the age of 13, I realized that I did not fit in. At the age of 13, I realized that every single person around me is different. But for some reason, I did not understand that every single person is different from each other. Instead, I just understood that I was different from everybody else. So having that notion in my mind, and being extremely introverted and having just 2 or 3 friends that I'd stick to throughout my schooling, I would constantly compare myself. I'd constantly compare my social life with, everybody else's. That way I'd understand that I'm different, and I'd fall into some sort of a trap of trying to make myself look cooler amongst the rest of them, in my own, little ways, in my own obnoxious ways when I was a kid, so that I try to fit in. Now, this is a form of peer pressure too. That's something that we don't recognize because we think that peer pressure is where a group of friends seem cool and then you just go talk up to them and then this person tries to coerce you into being a part of their group by doing something immoral. That's not the reality. So I feel like at the end of the day, to end it, I feel like every single one of us should understand that children at a very young age understand that they have problems and that they're different in some or the other way. And so going past that, we need to tell them that there are labels for these problems. These problems might turn into issues. A consistent thread of problems forced by your environment and not by yourself will turn into mental issues that you'll have to deal with later on. But instead, we're in complete denial. We believe that children do not have issues. But that is how projection happens when these children grow up and become adults. Because at the end of the day, when you become an adult, your childhood trauma reflects and projects into situations that might seem silly to an average adult. So that's how I feel like destigmatization can take place in a very progressive manner. I'd like to end this by quoting one of my favorite TV shows, which is every single time somebody steps up and says who they truly are, the world becomes a better place. So we have to make sure that we give the opportunity for others to step up. We have to make sure that we step up and stand up for ourselves and express who we truly are unapologetically to, experience life to its fullest. Thank you.
Thank you, Laasya. So we'll, in this, since we have a time limit, so we'll take, I'll take Charita's, I will question Charita next, and then we'll join the second link, which I have already messaged in the chat box. So, so Charita, I would come to you. What bothers you the most?
Okay, so Devikaji, that's a great question. And thank you again for giving me this opportunity to speak out my points. So earlier, Laasya has made very good points, and I agree with all of them. What bothers me the most, the first thing is, why is there so much stigma around going to a psychologist or getting help from psychiatrist? You are labeled as crazy, and if you want to tell that to your parents, who are maybe not that open-minded, they would say, what will others think? What will others say? And this concept of what will others say, what will other people think is such a silly thing, I must say, because people talk anyway. Everybody has an opinion, everybody has a perspective. It might not really be the truth, but it's their projection of what we are. It shouldn't really matter to us. But why does it matter? Because as Laasya has said, since we are kids, we've been given this, we are conditioned in such a way that this is wrong, this is right. Up until a certain point, that is correct. That is okay. But the world is not black or white, right? So I think there's a whole lot of gray area that we don't account, that we don't give much priority to. So if we really, okay, so should I stop talking now?
You can continue.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Just got a little sidetracked over there, but that's all right. So what I want to say is that this conditioning is everywhere, because our parents do that to us without them knowing, actually, because their parents did that to them, and these age-old traditions that we follow are still going on. There's a lot of taboo around usual things like sex, like we do this a lot of gender stereotyping that I still don't understand. We're in the 21st century, and we're living like sometimes in 17th century. Like, girls are not supposed to do that. Boys are not supposed to do this. If a boy cries, oh my God, you're not, come on, be a little more macho, be masculine. Come on, man. Everybody has emotions. We are humans. We are human beings. We have all these emotions. And if that will become a problem if we do not know how to really deal with them. And that, because of this conditioning, I think we forgot how to appreciate ourselves. And then again, social media. They say, don't compare, don't be sad. Thank you, Karen. I do not think about that. Thank you. what I want to say is, it's not that easy. It's never that easy. When you're projecting that, okay, all these people are supposed to be this way, and as Laasya said, peer pressure, you also want to show that even you can be like that and you want to be that way, and you keep on posting. And there are a lot of studies that say that being on social media leads to a lot of loneliness. But I feel that it is the opposite. If you are feeling very lonely, only then you'll be wasting your time on social media, because you don't have a real connection with someone else. And online, you will have this. Do you want to say something,
No.
Vikaji?
I just want to ask, you are managing a Facebook page. You are a Facebook group admin, and coming from you is very, very surprising. Yeah.
About the social media thing.
Yeah.
If that happens, Devikaji, I'm talking mainly about Instagram. Because Facebook is now a lot of, and not many youngsters are there on Facebook now. They're all going to Instagram with lots of pictures and videos and, yo, how cool I am. How much a party every day. Okay, I'm not overgeneralizing, but that's the whole idea that we are, exposed to. So we're not living consciously, is what I think. We keep on comparing ourselves, but we don't recognize the fact that that person's pace, the way his goals, his thought processes, his lifestyle is different from ours. We are alike. We have the same equipment, but we have different thought processes. We have a personality. We have a character. It's in our nature to be different from others, and that's okay. So I think that we should maybe try to balance whatever that is, affecting us to not be on. For me, I think that even I'm sidetracking, but I'm back again. What I mean is, I have come out of Instagram because I felt a little too much engagement. I don't want to be on it all the time, and sometimes it's addicting to see what people are doing all the time. So once you've cleared that space, whatever is bothering you properly, and you deal with it properly in the way that will work for you, I think nobody else has a say in it, because you know what is bothering you, you know what the solution is, and we should stop living life not so, we should start living life consciously. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
So thank you, Charita, for such a lovely answer, such a lovely conversation about what bothers you most and how have you dealt with mental health. Now coming to Rachana, I would like to ask you if you could give some tips on how to build self-confidence and self-esteem.
Thank you for the opportunity to let me speak about this. And self-confidence and self-esteem. I don't know if it'll help a lot of people, but to me, this is something I struggled with all my life. And one thing is, since I've done child psychology and I play my tricks and stuff on my nephews and nieces like they're my guinea pigs. So I think that self-confidence and self-esteem is something that should be built from a very, very young age. I think that the very first time somebody's self-confidence or self-esteem sheds is when they're criticized for their efforts. Like when kids do this pretty cute things, they try to make us laugh and they try to show that they're excited about meeting us, and we just ask them not to yell at us, but they're actually trying to show their excitement, and that just like breaks somebody's self-confidence and self-esteem. So it starts from there. But now, since we're youngsters and we are actually looking at the world, we have our own perspectives, we have our own ideologies, we have certain specific opinions towards certain things. I think self-confidence is something that even a person in the weakest moment can build it. And my tip to first bring the self-confidence and self-esteem is, it has helped me a lot, is start journaling your feelings. And I think that is one way you can actually keep your emotions in check. When anything you feel like on a certain event, you just have to know that feeling, why, from where that feeling is actually coming, and how that feeling is affecting your surroundings, affecting your mind. And let's say, I'll give you a very simple example. Let's say somebody is trying to give their first speech. Okay, not even that actually. There's this jam session, just a minute for every interview, and all of a sudden everybody is like panicking. They don't know themselves for that one moment. They don't know what to say. And I think it's all deep rooted with the person they are, that they find hard to accept. It is a very controversial statement I'm making, but it's just hard for somebody to accept themselves, and all of a sudden they panic about telling themselves. So self-confidence starts from accepting who you are. We're in a generation, I feel like everybody is trying to fit in the loop, like follow somebody else, do what somebody else others does, like go in circles round and round and round. But once you're unique, once you stand out, you know where you'll head to. And if you accept the person you are, it's easy to know that their opinions won't affect you, because you did the right thing. Deep in your heart, you know that you spoke your mind out. And if they don't get it, that's their problem. You're happy to help them clear the misunderstanding, but if still they do not get it, it's their problem. You can't do anything about it. So it's just that you need to be your own person to be confident. You should rely on people, and you should have friends who think about win and win situations. Like in competitive world, it's really, really hard to have self-confidence. I think like how Laasya told about how this peer pressure in this competition comes and everything. I think that once you develop a mindset where it is win and win, like you win and I win, not you lose, I lose. If I'm going down, I'll drag you down with me. No. Think about win and win. And that's when everything is gonna help in this competitive world. Nobody's asking not to be competitive. Nobody's asking not to work hard to get 100 marks on your paper. It's just that you work hard as well as help somebody else work hard.
Wow. Wonderful, wonderful thoughts, wonderful thoughts. And I would also like to ask you that you have written parenting, you have given parenting tips in your blogs. So
I'm your parent.
I know you are a student right now, but since you have studied psychology and you have written parenting, what do you think is the gap? What is the why don't parents understand the mental health of the child? Or do they focus on the mental health development of the child? Yeah.
Well, there are few parents who are like ready to help their kids, because sometimes they themselves don't know that they're 100% perfect. I think parents need to accept that no matter what you do, at some point you will fail as a parent. Because, it's actually very hard for few parents, because they dedicate their lives to their kids, and their kids still don't turn out the same way, and that's disappointing, and I get it. But still, you need to accept that you do not have to be the world's best parents. You need to be the best parent for your child. Just that one child of yours. You're not a parent to whole of the world, right? So you can't be the best parent to whole of the world. You need to be the best parent only to your child. Listen to your child's needs. Listen to what they're actually trying to tell. See, sometimes, mostly in Indian parents actually, when a kid throws a tantrum, they start slapping them and be like, you don't do this tantrum thingy in public, this is not correct. But actually, like us, how we can say, now let's say if I'm gonna throw a tantrum, instead of throwing it, I can say that I'm affected by this. So please do not do this behavior. But kids cannot say like that. And that is the reason they throw a tantrum. But that doesn't mean that you have to mark them as a naughty kid, or you shouldn't mark them as they're hyperactive, or you shouldn't mark them as a, bad kid. Because that is when they'll feel like, so once if I express my feelings, I'm termed as a bad child. All I'm trying to tell my mother is, I'm not comfortable here. I'm not comfortable there. So it's important to listen to your child. Like that, they're not going to speak like how you and me speak. They're gonna show it through actions, and it is important to listen to that. And when it comes to mental health, just because your child needs to go to a psychiatrist doesn't mean that she has a problem. Or just because your son is sensitive doesn't mean that he's not manning up. I think guys who cry, I think they're emotionally strong, because they have the power to accept themselves. They have the power to cry and feel like, I'm feeling this. And they do not man it up. They do not go for temporary solutions. They cry about it. They completely feel about it, and then they let go. They forgive themselves. And why should you man up? If you feel for something, you should cry. And sometimes visiting a psychiatrist is not because you have a problem or something. Visiting a psychiatrist can be just to find an answer for something you feel like there's no answer for. And it's okay if you visit a psychiatrist. Well, a lot of marriage couples, as soon as they get engaged, they go to a marriage counselor, not because they have problems in their marriage. It's just because they want to work on things. So labeling your kid because she wants to go to a psychiatrist, thinking that she doesn't need a psychiatrist, she sure might not need a psychiatrist, but you need to just listen to her. That will build her a confidence. And you might not really need to go to a psychiatrist once she starts openly telling you about things, openly starts trusting you. Once you shed their confidence, they're never going to speak to you no matter what. And this especially shows in teenage. All these rebellious kids who, I think even, the group judges like, she's so rebellious, she goes out like this, she does like that. I think that rebellious kid has a problem because she is not trusted at home. And that is why she does stuff like this.
Thank you.
So and also give.
Yes,
I just want to add that. Yes. I just want to add to Rachana's point that when you're given too many restrictions at home or anywhere else, you have to follow so many rules. It gets to you, especially if it is stopping you from your freedom, from expressing your individuality, and that is where the problem arises. Is what I think. You can go on, Rachana.
Thank you so much for your
explored a lot outside.
Yes,
just adding to that.
Yes.
And restrictions, see, their ground rules are very good. Like curfews are good. They're good. Rules are good. But punishing them for breaking the rules is bad. Listening to the reason why they're breaking the rule is good.
What I meant was unnecessary restrictions.
That is what I meant. Yeah. That is why ground rules are good, restrictions are bad.
Yeah. Sindhuja, please go ahead and make your point. Yeah.
It's just that I want to say, like, our Indian parents, I don't know, most of them, whether this is, like what I saw was they try to, like just keep it for themselves. Instead of just letting them go, they rub their thoughts or their perception on them. And it's like, end of the day, they're individual. They have their own individuality. So rules and regulations, they're completely fine. Obviously, we don't know anything when we come to this earth. As a human, we need to have restrictions and rules, but only to the certain point. I like to, adding to the Rachana's point, yes, we should have that limit. And when something crosses, everything gets everything gets exploded, and you just want to do exactly opposite to that.
Yeah. I have an answer for that question. Indian parents rubbing off their opinions on kids. For a point,
not in all the cases, but only for only for few people. Yeah.
I think I'm not completely sure, but I think most of our Indian parents feel like they missed out on things because they didn't have the privilege to do that. And now, since there's this thing about Indian parents, it's my blood. It's something I made. Yes, it's your great creation. I'd say my parents that I'm their great creation because I am. So, but just because you missed out on things because you did not have privileges doesn't mean I want the same things. Like in a simple example, let's say there's a kid who's been pushed to do engineering, but that kid's mind is not in anywhere in engineering. That kid's mind is somewhere far. Maybe that kid likes cooking, maybe that kid likes dancing, maybe that kid likes music. So you cannot limit their mind to a certain place. That is when they stop being creative.
Thank you, Rachana, for your answer. Maybe Parth can agree or relate to the engineering example because he is doing so. Before I go to the audience, I have a last question for all the panelists. Parth will start with you. I would like to know if you had a time machine and you had to tell something to your 5-year-old self. What would you tell? What would you tell?
Okay, I got the question, but I'm sorry about that disturbance. I am sure that you are able to hear that.
Yes.
I can't help it. So, if I'm able to go, if I have a time machine and I'm able to reach my 5-year-old self, I would like to just tell him that.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I just like to tell him that tell him to live his life as he wants to, as he may not deserve what things are going around in his life, but the life surely does require him, and that's all. I think in like this, I can't talk about it anymore.
Thank you, Parth. Laasya, would you like to go in next?
Yeah, sure. If I could tell my 5-year-old self something, I would tell her 2 things. The first thing is that everybody has issues. No matter how perfect you think they are, there is always going to be an issue or a problem or a flaw. So don't stress yourself out comparing yourself with every single person that you assume is perfect. Number 2 would be to be myself, authentically myself, at least around myself. I feel like growing up, even if I did not, well, it's a dead given that I was not myself, around everybody else. But most importantly, I wasn't myself around myself. So even if the situation calls for me to, not be myself around a group of people for, a few reasons that cannot be controlled by me, at least to accept who I am and to unapologetically be myself, at the very least around myself.
Thank you, Laasya. Cherry, you are next.
Yes, so if I was given a chance to meet my 5-year-old younger self, then I would only say one thing. Don't give up. Don't give up on your creativity. Don't listen to anybody else's standards of what is success. Like you have to follow this way to achieve. No, sorry. I would say to her that please don't give up. If you love something, just do it. Do it. No matter what, do it. That is all I want to say to my 5-year-old self. Thank you.
Thank you. Sindhuja. Okay, Sindhuja. Yes. Can we connect now, Sindhuja? Yeah. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So what I would say, I would suggest actually, it's okay if you don't figure out anything and nothing works out. It's completely fine. and it's okay. It's completely okay. These are the terms, I mean, these are the two words I kept using the whole entire video, but this is what I've learned. If you don't figure out anything, that's completely fine. You'll eventually get it, and if you don't, that's okay. And and one more thing, rather than just looking at others and, you know, like they are on the some other track who are actually trying to end up there, I mean, reach the finish line, and you are dealing with what to do, and dealing with what should I do next. Okay, this doesn't work out, this doesn't suit me. Don't, it's okay. Don't limit yourself. You can do much more. If you cannot, you try to deal with it. If you can, go for it. Don't limit yourself because of some kind of a rules or some kind of background you have. That's what I just want to tell.
Thank you, Sindhuja. Rachana.
Well, if I had to give a suggestion to my 5-year-old, I would say that people fight, and you just have to be your own person, no matter what.
Oh, that's such a nice. So, anybody has question? I saw Shravani wanted to ask a question. So, does anybody want to ask a question now? Please, can you unmute yourself and ask a question? And also, please say that for whom is the question? Who do you want the question targeted to? Yes.
Yeah, this is Jakpreet speaking. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
Yeah. So it's not a question, but I agree with Rachana that it's okay to be going to psychiatrists, and like people think that you go to psychiatrists and they are mental, but it's okay to be going to psychiatrists and sharing with them with the problems which you have. And maybe he doesn't want to share with anyone. He just want to share with the person who he doesn't know. Maybe he has many friends, but he doesn't want to share with them. Like maybe he has 1,000 friends, but he's not open to all. But he just shows him a happiness which he wants to show, but he doesn't want to show the happiness which the sadness which he has behind that. That's it. Yeah. So I would like to say that yeah, it's okay to go to psychiatrist and share the feelings which you have, and uh, burst the stress which you have. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else who wants to ask a question? Yes, Siri, could you please unmute yourself and ask the question, please?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good evening, and thanks for this opportunity. And now I would like to ask panelist Rachana that what is the cause of depression, and when a person can know that they are mentally ill, because some may not know what they are dealing with. So how they can find out that they are not okay, and how they can find that what they are dealing with.
Okay. Well, firstly, you're not mentally ill, so just don't use the term mentally ill. Nobody is mentally ill. When it comes to depression, I think it's a very deep root. Depression is a very, very huge term, and it's very deep rooted. And when you feel like giving up on everything, and you feel like when you don't see the light in the things you once saw light, like let's say you're a person who loves to dance, and all of a sudden, even to the rhythm, you don't feel like moving your body, and that's when you know that you've hit the rock bottom, and that is when you have to get up again and run. So, and it's okay sometimes if you feel depressed, because everybody has issues, everybody has problems, and when you hit the rock bottom, just don't give up on not finding ways to get up. Try to find ways to get up. Try to know how to get up. Ask for help to get up. So Did you understand me, or do you want me to elaborate?
Yeah, I got you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
So,
Rachana, for answering.
I want to add to that
Yes.
actually.
Yes.
So sometimes the other day we were actually discussing, Devika ma'am, if you could remember, we were
Yes.
telling sometimes the person who gives a lot is the person who is actually left alone, and this also could be the reason. He may show to the world that he is very happy. He may actually tell to the people around him that yeah, that's completely fine, and he may be the person who listens to everybody's drama or everybody's problems and try to solve, but at last he may be the person who is actually left out. And as according to me, everyone actually has this thing that everyone requires someone's support. And according to that, for me, I will say, as Rachana said, you should.
Okay, I think she has a connectivity issue. Okay, once she comes back, we'll take her in. And anybody else? Yeah, I think she has joined. Yeah, she's very quick in that. Sindhuja, can you continue, please? Sindhuja, I think we have her back. Yeah.
Sorry for that.
No, tell.
I just have a little bit of network issue.
Please continue.
Yeah, so at last I just want to tell that, as Rachana said, you should ask for help, and asking help doesn't actually make you feel or make you, small, or you are hopeless or helpless or you're something bad. It's okay, it's completely fine if you ask for help, even though it doesn't matter whether it should be your friends or parents or anyone actually. So that's all I would just want to say. It's okay
And
if yeah, tell.
yeah. No, that's right. And you can even ask for help. And if you're like not ready to speak about it with somebody, read self-help books. Those are the best too. Like somebody who's into reading. I just forgot that suggestion, so it just popped in my brain again. I'm sorry that I interrupted you.
That's fine. That's fine.
Thank you, Sindhuja and Rachana, for the answer. Anybody else who wants to ask the question? Please, you can unmute yourself.
Sorry to interrupt.
Ask the question. You want to
Sindhu,
ask?
I just want to tell. No. I just want to tell, like she said, reading the books as well as you try to understand what you're feeling.
Yes.
If you're feeling numb,
Yeah.
your emotions are your emotions, right? Until unless you don't get it what you feeling, no one else can help you out. So yeah.
Very right. So anybody else? We have Nimisha, Siri, Aditya. Do you all want to ask any questions? Yes, please ask. Ask your question. Yeah. Okay, they are not asking. So I have one question to all of. I have asked a lot of questions, but I would like to ask a question especially to Charita. So Cherry, basically you are running a very big group and especially managing a social media group, because people have people of diverse nature come and join the group. How do you maintain the decency of the group? Yeah, decency levels.
Okay, so that's a great question, Devika ji. So we have 82,000 members in the group.
Wow.
It's basically a networking group. So we have set of rules that we have put that nobody should cross them, and if they do, well, they'll be removed from the group, because we don't want any indecency, we don't want vulgar language. We want to maintain the decorum of the group so that it goes on smoothly and nobody has a problem. And we also, addition to that, we also have 36 moderators. So we approve every post. So we are managing that way, and that's the reason why it's going so smoothly.
Very nice. Thank you. Galaxy A5, can you unmute and ask your question, please? And please also say who is this question for? Yeah. You can go ahead and ask your question, Galaxy A5 2017. Yeah. Okay, we'll have to wait. Till we are waiting for the person to ask the question, I would like to ask Laasya, what is the scenario of legal education in India, and do you think the Constitution of India should be translated into regional languages?
I think I'll start with the Constitution question. I definitely think that Constitution of India should be translated into regional languages. The very basic idea of the existence of the Constitution itself is very much misinterpreted by every single citizen and every single civilian in this country. So I feel like access to legal resources to a common man, a layman, would definitely do the trick. When it comes to the legal education scenario in India, I'd say that it's going fairly well. It has its advantages and its disadvantages, of course. I would start with the advantages. The one basic advantage being that not a lot of countries offer law for undergraduation. You'll have to finish a course first, and then you'll have to take up law for your post-graduation or any other course that you do apart. But the fact that India has an undergraduation course offering for law, we've got various undergraduation courses, right? We've got programs, right? We've got BBA LLB, we've got BA LLB, we've got BTech LLB, we've got BSc LLB, we've got BCom LLB. So I feel like those are plenty of options to choose from, especially if you do not know if you want to take up law. As such, you can take a BTech LLB and you can decide if you want to use your BTech or you want to use your LLB. I am doing BBA LLB because I find business administration pretty interesting. So I feel like it's fairly good, but the disadvantages are the lack of resources within a law school itself. The thing is, there's a clear demarcation when it comes to legal education. You've got your national law schools and then you've got your private law schools. There's a clear distinction between these government national law schools and your private law schools. And I feel like private law schools are falling behind when it comes to job opportunities, opportunities for going abroad, or your LLM universities abroad considering your degree from your private college. Whereas NLUs are at a higher advantage. Well, of course, you joining into an NLU or you going to a private law school is entirely dependent on your academic caliber. When you take your LSATs or when you take your CLAT, you take your ALET or you take your SLAT. But the problem is, since there's this clear demarcation and a huge gap, I'd say a bridge that doesn't exist between your private law schools and your national government law schools. Those who study at private law schools are definitely, a little handicapped when it comes to this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I would like to, now, since there are no questions, so no questions left from the audience, I would like, okay, Siri again wants to ask a question. Yes, please, Siri, please unmute yourself and ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask this question to Charita. You people have spoke about how parents are being and how they should not be. So if that is for parents, okay, what you can say the child should do when the parents are not ready to listen them. And if in my case I feel sometimes like overprotected, and I feel biased sometimes, and they ask things to do which I am not actually willing to do. So what might be the possible way to settle the emotions? What can you say about the child?
Okay, so that's a pretty tough question, Siri, because it is something that even I go through personally. Sometimes it's very difficult to have these conversations with your loved ones, mainly parents and family. So still, I would say if you feel like they're not listening, you should still make them sit down And I'll tell you this one thing. You should, if they're very overprotective and they're not ready to listen, find a time when they're in a very good mood. Okay, so that when they're happy, usually it happens that you will listen. So when they're in a calm mood, they don't have any other stresses that you know of, and they're free and calm, you can make them sit down, tell them what you truly feel about a certain situation. It is very easy to say, I know that, but it's very hard to do. But once you try it, you'll be really happy. You can cry. Sometimes when you feel hopeless and angry, you get these tears in front of them, but they're your parents. They will understand you. They will, because they only want the best for their child, right? So if you find the space, find the courage first. Tell yourself that you can do this. It is very hard, but you can do this. Tell yourself that. Make them sit. Tell them, I'm feeling this way. I'm feeling that way. The way that you're imposing this, I don't like it. Please try to understand from my point. And if you cry, they will listen. And I think that's the best solution I have found so far. I hope it helps you, Siri.
Yeah, surely. Thanks.
Thank you. That was a very nice viewpoint, Cherry. And I would like to second it. Like sometimes we do not communicate with our parents, which creates the gap of understanding both parties. I think it is very important. Both have their roles to play, and both should understand each other. It is not only a one-sided relationship. So.
Definitely. I think that happens when, want to add one more point.
Yeah.
Sometimes the children feel that even if I tell them, they will not understand no matter what. I think that is a misconception that all of us kids have. Even I have sometimes, that if I tell my dad something, if I tell my mom something, especially in the wrong timing, they will take it in a very bad way. So if you find the place and the mood to set in, and then you can slide in, I think that's the best way, and I will say that they will listen to you no matter what.
Yes, correct. That's really nice. And just to wrap it up, I would like to thank all of you to have come here and be a wonderful panel. I have learned a lot from you all, and it is very nice to get fresh perspectives about mental health. These are the points which I don't think have been discussed ever. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you to the audience for being a lovely and patient audience and hearing us out. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
everybody.